Hey y'all, it's Betsy. So today I have nothing on my face. I figured we'd do our full face of ColourPop, testing it out. So the first thing is there is no eyeshadow primer. So what I'm going to do is use my Milani eyeshadow primer. I know I have concealer, but I'm not a big fan of using concealer to prime my eyes. I've got some Scotch tape here because I'm going to tape off to do a very sharp edge. So when I'm doing that, I take my Scotch tape and run it between my fingers so that way it's not so sticky on that sensitive eye area. But I do that whenever I want something really nice and sharp and precise. So we're just doing the same steps we normally do, priming our eyes. And again, concealer, especially whenever you start to get fine line on your eyes, especially a thick concealer like the ColourPop No Filter concealer, which is a beautiful concealer. I have been testing these products out for a couple of days, so that way you can kind of see what I like and what I don't like about them. So the first thing I'm going to do is take some of the No Filter setting powder. This is translucent, and go ahead and set my eyes. So that way my eyeshadow will go on with a nice smooth base. I always like to set my eyes. Some people want to not set their eyes so the pigment shows up more, but today we're doing more of a natural look. Now, what we're gonna start off with is Boozy, this tan shade right here in the crease. And we're not gonna do anything too wild and crazy today. We're gonna keep it somewhat nice and just neutral and I don't know, simple, I guess. And I do really like ColourPop's press shadow formula, and they're a really good deal for the price. I mean, they perform well above their price range. And as you can see, that's just a nice warm tannish shade. And it helps kind of cancel out the darkness on my lids, because if you cannot tell, I do have some hyperpigmentation on my lids that I do like to cover with shadow. And anyways, the brush we're using is a Morphe M441. I do like Morphe brushes. They perform really well, and I like the cost of them. They're typically under $10 a brush. You can buy them in sets for super cheap. There's always discount codes if you order on Morphe's website, which typically if I'm ordering on Morphe's website, I use the code ADOPTLOVE, all caps, and the affiliate code actually will go to helping rescue animals versus to a beauty influencer. Now what I'm gonna do is take the shade Top Down, this dark brown shade, and we're going to concentrate that just in our outer crease, and I'm using just a BH Cosmetics. This is the number 6 brush. This came with, I'm trying to think, the Life is a Festival set I ordered. And I really like BH Cosmetics brushes too, and they're nice and cheap. So definitely more affordable brands, because typically with BH Cosmetics you can get their brush sets pretty reasonable too, and they run a lot of sales on their website. They do sell both Morphe and BH Cosmetics on Ulta's website, but if you sign up for emails through ColourPop and, well, ColourPop, Morphe, and BH Cosmetics on their actual websites, that'll keep you up to date with sales. There are a lot more sales that they run. This is almost true with any makeup brand on their websites than they do on Ulta's website. So just so you know, and most of my shopping I do online, so that way I don't have time to go to the store most of the time. I stay so darn busy. So got that going. Now I'm just going to use my finger to apply the bronzy shade, which is this middle shade right here, which is called Wild One. It's a nice, pretty, shimmery, bronzy, coppery kind of shade, because I'm in the fall mood. If you can't tell from the olive green that I'm wearing, it's just getting that time of year, and I really like to dress for fall, even though we really do not have a fall here in Southeast Texas. It goes from hot to really cold, or at least really cold for us, because, you know, typically our lows are maybe in the 50s, whereas a lot of places get a lot colder than that, which last year we had some snow, which is extremely unusual for us. Now I'm going to just take that same BH Cosmetics brush and blend in that crease, so that way the copper does not look so messy. Since being on the Lyrica, my hands are a little bit shakier, so I get a little bit messier with my eyeshadows than I typically do. So I'm just taking a makeup wipe and cleaning up that inner corner area underneath. So there we go. Now what we're going to do is, I think I might do some false lashes today, so I'm gonna go ahead and curl my top lashes. There we go. And I'm going to apply some mascara, which again, ColourPop does not have mascara yet. They're slowly building up their collection, which I am super duper excited for the new Disney designer collection. Even though the colors are nothing new, it's just I'm obsessed with Disney, as you know, and I want to purchase the whole thing. I really want the PR collection because I want that box that it comes in. So hopefully I'll be able to get it. We will be at the show next week when it's released, so I'm hoping that the ISS show, so I'm hoping that I'll remember to order it first thing in the morning on the 28th. So maybe I can get my hands on it. Let's see. And that was the Benefit Bad Gal Bang mascara. Now I'm just using the Duo Glue, eyelash glue. And I'm going to apply it to the edge of my false lashes, and I'm using the Ardell Wispies in 005. If I'm wearing false lashes, those are some of my favorites. There we go. And I like that you can reuse false lashes quite a few times as well. Okay, let that one dry. Now we'll apply the other side, which this eye typically goes a little bit easier for me just because I cannot see out of my right eye. I'm partially blind. All I see is fuzz. So there we go. So now that this eye is dry, I'm gonna go ahead and curl with my eyelash curler so it blends those lashes together. That is a trick that I have learned to make sure your eyelashes don't look as fake, and that's part of the reason why I like these Demi Wispies. They do look a little fake, but they don't look as fake as some of them. And I'm just taking a e.l.f. concealer brush in that deep brown shade called Top Down again, and I'm going to just lightly tight line my waterline just in, there we go. So that eye is pretty much done. Now I'm going to curl that eye. And I'm going to take that shade again and tight line to blend those lashes together. And I'm wiping it off because I want it dry, because I'm going to use that as my highlighting brush in just a little bit. Now we're going to start off with the primer, and this is the All-Star Primer in Matte and Blur from ColourPop. It reminds me a lot of the Milani primer. I don't really see a lot of mattifying effect when I'm applying it, but it does give a nice sticky base for the foundation. There we go. So that is all applied all over my skin. Now we are going to go in with the No Filter foundation, and I'm wearing it in the shade Medium 90, which is a golden undertone. And I do like that you can lock this foundation for travel, and the times that I have worn it, it is very, very pretty on the skin. I prefer a matte finish foundation. I have normal skin right now, typically leaning a little bit more on the oily side. So I like, and plus matte finishes to me look really, really pretty on camera. And their foundation is $9 normally. When I ordered all of the ColourPop products, I ordered them on Labor Day weekend. They had a 25% off site-wide on their website. So it saved quite a bit of money for the whole face. All the products that I'm using other than the mascara, the lash glue, and eyeshadow primer, it was $82, which is not bad for everything. And I have found that so far this foundation does not settle in my fine lines, but one of the things I do a lot of to help with foundation and concealer and things like that is I moisturize a lot to help my foundation stay longer and to help things from creasing. So moisturization is your friend even if you are oily. So as you can see, that's how it looks. It is a nice high medium coverage foundation, at least to me. I don't consider it completely full coverage. It doesn't cover up the dark circles under my eyes, and you have to build up and layer it a little bit to cover up all the redness. But that is it applied. Now we're going to go ahead and apply the ColourPop No Filter concealer. And I have the shade Light 14, which is a tad bit light for me, I will admit. But they were sold out of a lot of their shades. and I had been wanting to try their new foundation and concealer for a while. So I was like, well, and no better time for me to purchase it than when it's on sale. I love a good sale. That is definitely one thing about me. So, blend that in, but it does cover my dark circles beautifully. Now I do get some creasing under the eyes, but that's just because I'm getting older and I have lots of fine lines and smile lines around my eyes, and I don't have any Botox fillers, anything like that. Not that I have anything against it, but I don't have anything like that yet. So just to let you know, in this area, which is why I typically put quite a bit of shadow down there to kind of help hide it, I do get some creasing. Now, one thing I have figured out about the No Filter setting powder, the one in translucent at least, I am not the biggest fan of this powder. The concealer and the foundation I absolutely love, but I tried to bake under my eyes with it and they looked so dry and so crepey that I definitely wouldn't recommend that as a baking powder, especially if you're worried about fine lines and worried about creasing and things like that. But if you use it just as a light setting powder all over the rest of your face, it does work beautifully. So as you can see, it definitely has a nice, pretty finish to it, and my face looks nice and mattified, and it does have a good wear time on this as well, which I know a lot of people get concerned with. So we're gonna go ahead and move to brows, and I bought their brow pencil in the shade Redhead because I have a lot more warmth in my hair right now, and dark brown sometimes can look a little harsh, and my brows are looking kind of bushy. I need to go get them threaded again, but Mama just ain't got a lot of time to go do that. But I do love this pencil. I love a super sharp, tiny little pencil to fill in my brows. I like that, or a brow powder, which they do not offer a brow powder yet, which is my actual preferred method for filling in my brows. But this does a really nice job of filling them in without looking false or fake or and typically once I fill them in, I just take the brow brush and just kind of lightly go over them so they look a little bit more natural. So now we're going to do the other side. And I will definitely say ColourPop for their eyeshadows are absolutely amazing. Eyeshadows is definitely something I recommend from them. The foundation, if you are normal to oily, I don't think I would recommend that if you were on the dry side, because it is a matte finish foundation. Typically if you got dry skin, and not everyone, but it works better if you are using a dewier foundation. But I'm sure that that's something that they will probably work on in the future as far as products go. Now we're going to go ahead and bronze up the face, and I think this shade is called Rodeo Drive, and it's a nice pretty bronze shade, and I'm using my Morphe M500 to bronze up my face. And as you can see, the products blend really well over the top of the foundation, especially once it's set. And the foundation does dry down. But as I said, I always set my face. Especially on days that I am filming, and I am filming right now this video before I'm filming some other stuff. I think this video will probably go up on Monday, but I'm not sure. We shall see what else comes up. So as you can see, it is nice and pretty and bronzed. And it's not too heavy. Sometimes when you're using bronzing powders, they can definitely look a little heavy. Now I'm gonna use the blush, and I do not remember the shade name of this, but it is just a nice, pretty rosy pink. And I'm using the Wet n Wild blush brush. Just applying to the apples of my cheeks. Blush to me is always extremely important. It's funny though, you know, you put on all the foundation and makeup to cover the redness in your cheeks, and then you could just go apply more. So before we go and do our highlight, we're gonna go ahead and do our under our waterline. So I'm gonna start off with that small concealer brush by e.l.f. and tight line through my waterline area and lightly into my lower lash line. And then I'm going to take the, get some of the color off, the Morphe, not sure what this is called, and this is just like a small dome pencil brush, and I'm gonna go back into the shade Boozy. And smoke out that waterline. I'm doing a much more dramatic eye today because I am going to do a very neutral lip. So I'm going to take that same concealer brush. I'm getting all of the, I'm just wiping it off on a makeup wipe, and I'm using the shade Detour right here, which is like this gold. It has some reflective orange in it to highlight my inner corner. There we go. And very lightly on my brow bone. But as I said, so far, I mean, but I've had other face products from ColourPop, and I have always been a fan of it, and their eyeshadow palettes are really, really good. I like the glossy lips so far. I haven't always been a fan of their ultra matte lips. To me, they're a little bit drying and can travel. Now I'm using the shade, the highlighter, as again, I don't remember the shade, but this is like a pinky highlight with a bit of lavender duochrome. As you can see, it is gorgeous. And I'm sure this color scheme is so warm, but, and this is a cool toned highlighter, but I do love how it looks. And I used a little bit of what's left over to highlight the tip of my nose, and a little to highlight my upper lip area. Now I'm going to take my big powder brush again and just kind of go over it to help soften that highlight just a tad. Now we're going to go ahead and spray our face before we do our lips, and this is the All Star setting spray. This is not my favorite setting spray. It feels and smells like hairspray on the skin. do not like this at all. It reminds me of the Wet n Wild one, which I did a full face of Wet n Wild a while back, and that was one of the things I really didn't like from their collection either, is I don't like it to feel like I have hairspray on my face, and that's exactly what it feels like. But it does work. So now we're going to go ahead and put the Bad Gal Bang again on our lower lash line. I really do like this brush for the lower lash line as well, and it doesn't apply too much mascara, so it's a little bit easier to use. And now for lips, I think I'm gonna go in with the shade Fairy Me. This was a set of ultra glossy lips, and this is the shade Lazy and the shade Obviously. And this is more of a pinky nude shade. But it is not your basic nude, because it does have gold reflect in it, and it's glossy. But I do like a glossy lip. I mean, I love a matte lip, but I've gotten to the point where I like to put a gloss over it, so that way my lips do not look so dry. Because it's funny, because my skin tends to lean to the oily side, but my lips are always dry. So that is a full face of ColourPop. As you can see, it looks very, very pretty. And the products that definitely stand out to me that I absolutely adore in their line are their powder products, such as their eyeshadow palettes and their face, such as bronzer, blush, and highlight. These are always tried and true and work beautifully. Their ultra glossy lips are really amazing as well. So far, I like it. Concealer and foundation, so far pretty good. I've got to do some more testing with it, but I really like how it applies and how it lasts. The things that I really do not like from their line are the primer and the setting spray and the loose powder. I feel like you can find better loose powders. The Real RCMA powder is inexpensive. You can get like 2 ounces of it for less than 20 bucks, and this is $9 for 0.3 ounces. So the Real RCMA, and it is a true no color powder. It lays beautifully on the skin. Again, the setting spray reminds me of hairspray. It is so sticky and the smell is just not good. And the primer is nothing to write home about. There are cheaper primers that I like better. So hopefully that gives you some insight into the ColourPop line. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Other than that, check me out on all my social medias: Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram. So I think that's it, and thanks, and y'all have a great day.